welcome once again to the Ray of Discovery series. Revelation directs its rays through many portals. A poetic verse, a fragment of music, a lovely metaphor, a penetrating image. These can each become the doorway of unexpected new revelation. Have you ever been so touched by a casually received impression that the very ordinary suddenly becomes the extraordinary? Why Tesla's developments were so very mystifying and thrilling in his day is comprehended only by seeing and feeling some image of the world which surrounded and permeated his being. By knowing the surroundings which suffused him, we gain insight into Tesla's temperament, taste, and creative direction. In these 2 episodes, we will touch the essence of Nikola Tesla through the atmosphere in which his futuristic technologies were both conceived and developed. It is my sincere hope that these real images and scenes from New York City will excite and refresh simple aspects of Tesla's biography, which may have become vague and lackluster with years of repetition.
Much of Tesla's habitual surroundings yet remained. When he arrived in Manhattan, it was a place yet untouched by his genius. Fashionable new brownstones such as these, luxurious parks and gardens, broad tree-lined avenues, all pointed away from the congested downtown area in directions north, toward lush, endless green forests. It was a rare time, elegant, quaint, not yet metropolitan. The year was 1884. The simple portfolio which he held walking the streets contained the secrets of a fundamental power revolution which would soon permeate the very dreams of North America. This was a time poised between strokes and chimes of a delicate clock, ticking into a future which dreamers, like Nikola Tesla, were spinning from visionary fabric. His mind stimulated to new dreams, his eyes filled with the gleaming world of sky-vaunting crystal towers, sharp beacons of white light, and wonderful flying machines. The metropolis of the future was his secret world. Into space, then, into the space of mind and heart, the dream space from which all wonders emerge. Tesla dreamed in colors, his visionary experiences having been the substance from which each of his astounding discoveries and designs were drawn. The placid space, a thesaurus from which emerged new and wondrous realities, was his familiar geography. One cannot help noticing that Tesla instinctively sought locations which evoked new vision. Vistas and open spaces were a reminder of his homeland. And now, as if from a dream, we find ourselves walking in Tesla's own footsteps. His long walks, more like odysseys in the late afternoon, led him among the new brownstones and the floral splendor of the Victorian New York City, which he came to love. Himself for a time the very center of technological change, Tesla literally witnessed the transformation of Manhattan from quaint brownstones to large buildings of iron. Tesla arrived in America with introductory letters which brought him into the employ of Thomas Edison. The Edison DC power system, whose continual breakdowns were far too demanding for Edison himself to attend, required a highly trained individual. That individual was Nikola Tesla. Edison became infuriated when Tesla suggested developing a more efficient electrical system. Edison retorted that a fortune would be personally given to him if he could design for Edison a better DC generator. Tesla immediately set to work on developing DC generators for Edison. He presented these drawings and blueprints in person, expecting to be equally met with legal documents and royalties as promised. Edison took these designs and implemented them without the promised reward. This incident forced his departure from Edison in 1885. With monies given him by financiers attracted to his work, Tesla established his first private research laboratory among these very iron buildings on Grand Street. Here, Tesla developed arc lamps and arc lighting systems in an attempt to gain the personal independence needed to sustain his love for pure research. This first small private venture collapsed after unscrupulous investors, while helping themselves to first profits, managed to leave Tesla penniless. Once again, Nikola Tesla walked the gray streets of the industrial New York neighborhoods. Sustained and encouraged by an unfailing reserve of visions and dreams of the future, was not enough, however. Having run out of options and openings, and at the mercy of daily necessity, Tesla was forced to find a more immediate kind of work. Tesla dug ditches, laid cables, and set cobblestones. A truly ironic twist, these excessive labors were performed at minimum wage for his old employer, Edison. Tesla was forced to live in cheap rooming houses, growing more and more poverty-stricken with each swing of his pickaxe. It was an intolerable time for him. Edison's Power and Light Company was filling the city with direct current, most probably generated by the very machines which Tesla had designed. Tesla's incessant talks on polyphase so impressed the foreman of his digging crew that a meeting with certain promoters was arranged. After hearing of the polyphase design, A.K. Brown, an outspoken opponent of Tesla's direct current system, came to speak with Tesla. Before rising out of the ditch in which he was found, Tesla demanded a financial stipend, a complete machine shop, and a research laboratory of his own. He was, in an instant, pulled up out of this first nightmare. Thereafter, Tesla developed and patented scores of polyphase designs and working models. Through a joint venture with George Westinghouse, Tesla became a multimillionaire literally overnight, propelling him into an incredible future, one which seemed unlimited with promise and possibilities. On what is now called West Broadway, Tesla opened his most famous and most magnificent laboratory. These numerous building exteriors, now an artistic haven, give a fair sense of the overall setting in which this second research laboratory stood. Large first and second floor galleries served as both reception and demonstration areas, while several upper floors provided wonderful workspaces for machinists, small assembly lines, and a host of related scientific researches. Then, ever so much more than we see now, South Fifth Avenue was an elegant fashion district, ablaze with light and high society, where coaches and trolleys followed each other in long, stately processions. It was a setting into which Tesla brought a bizarre atmosphere of mystery. The fashionable street, where luxurious gowns, elegant jewels, and tinkling crystal lamps glittered among the window panes of shops and restaurants, was interrupted by a mercurial messenger of the future. The Tesla Research Laboratory, which the bronze plaque declared at 3335 South Fifth Avenue. Here was a magic shop. Into this shop came those seeking the future. However notable and erudite, each newcomer was never disappointed. Tesla always had some incredible scientific achievement to demonstrate for his mystified audience. It was in the South Fifth Avenue laboratory that Tesla entertained notable personages of highest social stature. Dinners held in Tesla's huge lower gallery halls were brought by coach from his favorite restaurant at fabulous expense. This was a time period filled with nobility and grace, fame and fortune. Tesla learned to live and dress in great luxury. However often he was reminded of his time digging ditches, Tesla winced and instinctively moved toward excessive luxury. Tesla's own private coachman daily conveyed him along the South Fifth Avenue cobblestones downtown to Delmonico's. Once surrounded in gardens and fountains, coachmen helped exclusive patrons to a long flower-lined walkway covered in an equally long canopied entrance. The one-time epitome of elegance and charm, Delmonico's brownstone exterior is now dwarfed by defiant towers of steel. Delmonico's remains, a sadly forgotten fragment of the last century's lost charms. Through windows and doorways, now hazy with time, we glimpse ornate reception lobbies, once flooded with the pleasant music of string quartets, and of chandeliered dining halls, once filled with society's notables. But not far from Tesla's own dinner table, one of Edison's obsolescent DC power stations yet sputtered away. Edison's dynamo halls were a strange combination of engineering laboratory, research facility, machine shop, supply terminal, public display, and business office, all brought together under a single roof in characteristic Edisonian fashion. Edison and Tesla, the two electrical knights, were carefully watched from a distance by a tightly knit group of financiers. Caring little about the technology itself or its importance for humanity at large, these old family dynasties prepared their moves when once it became apparent who the victor would be. Tesla's polyphase sword forced Edison to yield. Technology was providing new avenues of social power. John Pierpont Morgan had early realized the worth of science and technology in creating profit. He collected and traded inventors and their inventions like so many playing cards. There were plenty to be found. It was a time curiously filled with these kinds of intelligent groundlings. One by one, Morgan erased the dreamers which he collected while squeezing out liquid gold from their dreams. Thomas Edison was one such unfortunate victim. Morgan's rulership of his company forced the once boyish Edison to produce far beyond his own very human limits of endurance. When Edison failed to produce the noteworthy inventions which characterized the wondrous days of his youth, Morgan abandoned him completely. The sad, once great inventor became a venomous and embittered shadow when once Morgan had purchased him mind and soul. Morgan dropped Edison as he had done with so many others, dropped him in favor of Tesla, and of polyphase. The technological revolution, envisioned by Tesla in so many dreams, spawned an industrial explosion which transformed Manhattan Island. From a densely populated 3-mile concentration, the modern metropolis burst skyward in towers of iron and stone. With this structural rise, financial dynasties of unprecedented wealth rose, all chiefly engineered by Tesla's polyphase. Polyphase ran the Otis elevators, which made skyscrapers possible. Polyphase ran the trolleys, which brought in the workforce to drive the office mills of the ruthless. Polyphase illuminated the dark towers and the darkened streets below. More than any other single commodity, polyphase made these financial wheels turn in huge profits, just as Tesla had foreseen. It was good for Tesla to have tasted unemployment in America. Though he recoiled at the very thought of poverty, he soon discovered a renewed love for suffering humanity. He had discovered that inescapable corporate tentacles were everywhere, gripping and drowning ordinary working-class Americans who were supposedly endowed with the rights to compete in business with no fear of reprisals from the powerful. It became at once clear to him that the working class, who both generate technology's supply and purchase technology's fruit on demand, were being regulated into fixed social positions. He would do his best to proliferate the spiritual equality of first American principles, principles founded by the Pilgrims long before the arrival of their Puritan persecutors. Tesla was the latest featured attraction of the New York upper class, whose bored and mediocre mind state needed the constant stimulations of such excitement. Inventors and other working-class individuals of the Industrial Revolution would provide an exciting new entertainment. But Morgan was possessed of other excesses. Domination was his entertaining lust, seeking entry into the AC industries with a classless, avaricious vengeance. On the social surface, all remained serene for Tesla, a pleasant pool. Tesla was now the darling of the uptown social classes, the envy of New York City investors. Speculators were intent on riding the Tesla magic carpet to riches. But the circulating streams of Tesla's life had become as complex as the polyphase currents circulating in his generators. Now Morgan, intent on buying the entire technology of polyphase, sent attachés directly to Tesla himself. Tesla repeatedly and politely rejected Morgan's now insistent gestures, reminding him that he, too, was a multimillionaire. Morgan warned Tesla that his resistance